5 minutes.
Got most everybody back?
Alan,
Okay, yes.
before we start, why don't we ask if there are any questions from the first part that people might want to, maybe we need to clear up any misconceptions or confusion.
Thank you. Great idea. Great idea. Any questions, anybody? Okay, well, hearing no questions, I think we'll go ahead and plunge into the material about our club in particular. I know you're more interested now in that, I hope. What we do, how we do it. And
Oh, one quick comment.
yes,
Leonore has put in the chat the links to the district website, the state website, and she's also got the link for the online store if you want to purchase Lions attire or, branded attire. So be sure and check out.
oh, and your audio suddenly went away.
You muted yourself halfway in.
Oh dear, I was saying that Leonore has put all the links for the district website and the state website in the chat, and also the link to the Lands End store that you can use to purchase our apparel. So check out the chat for those links.
Okay, thank you, Ann, for pointing that out. Anyway, why do we have Lions Clubs then? Well, we want to be able to provide and support local services both through funding and providing our own human resources. In fact, and when it comes to raising funding, we like to be able to do that as much as we can with the sweat of our own brows. We like to be able to support Lions services and charities at those higher levels all the way to around the world, and support some other activities that are socially important. But another thing we do just by getting together, whether it's by Zoom or preferably by having a meal together or working together, is we build social capital, which has been defined in one area as stocks of social trust, norms, and networks that people can draw upon to solve common problems. Networks of civic engagement are an essential part of social capital. And the denser these networks, the more likely that members of a community will cooperate for mutual benefit. Where does all that thinking come from? Well, for one thing, it comes from Harvard back about 20 years ago in a report called Better Together. And they said, among other things, specifically in that report, that they support efforts to revive local and national organizations that unite people across class and identity, and coalitions of democratic deliberation and civic activity. Organizations like federated voluntary associations such as the PTA and the Lions Clubs. Because true, each individual club may not be terribly diverse, but we are drawn together by more of a common interest in service and things like that than specific areas of single issue interest, let's say, things like the Sierra Club or the Rifle Club. We have a little broader area of interest, and that's important. And I'll give you an example of why it's important. In the last few months in particular, we had some people for several years who had been helping out with Meals on Wheels in delivering meals. Each individual delivery person would take specific meals out to specific recipients on a virtually, Leo, you know more about how that works, but almost on a daily basis, I guess. And they had to change that because of the pandemic. They had to be able to deliver supplies of meals for several days to people. And they had delivery drivers lined up to do that, but they needed a way to get this stuff loaded in a hurry because of some of these things were refrigerated, some were frozen. And their director of volunteer services, Denise, gave us a really nice interview in which, among other things, she said, we really needed volunteers in a group participation setting to help load up the meals. The point is, yes, they had lots of volunteers for a lot of different things, but they wanted a group of volunteers who were accustomed to working together, accustomed to doing teamwork so that they could accomplish something like this with a minimum of disorganization at least. And she closed by saying, "We really love you guys and we couldn't do it without y'all. So thank you very much." She really gave us a nice plug there. So let's talk about the Austin Founder Lions Club. Spans a long period of time. Chartered January the 18th of 1916, and we claim to be the oldest continuously operating Lions Club anywhere, because even though, as I mentioned, there were some of Dr. Woods's clubs who were organized perhaps a little bit earlier, virtually all the others at one time or another, usually during one of the world wars or during the Depression, went out of business for a while, but ours kept soldiering on, even though membership at one point got down to, I think, 6 at some point. But there were 29 charter members. And over the years, there have been a number of achievements that we like to look back on and reflect on, although we can't really rest on our laurels. For one thing, we've spread Lionism around Central Texas over the years, starting with the Smithville Club of just a few years after ours was organized. We've sponsored or co-sponsored more than 60 other clubs. And my presentation has a mind of its own here. Anyway, so as I said, up until 1925, there wasn't that focus on services for the blind and the visually impaired. The club, among other things, supported bond drives, went out and campaigned to support bond drives in Austin. They supported recycling. For one thing, they put a pole on in front of the Capitol at 11th and Congress and encouraged people to throw their old tires on there so that the rubber could be recycled. And obviously, we've got some automated running going on here. Anyway, yes, well, and they did some lobbying, presumably nonpartisan, on civic matters like needing a new dam on the Colorado. There was a lot of things focused on parks and recreation, and it was sort of a booster organization also before there was a Chamber of Commerce. You can see some examples here from the Austin papers. In 1918, they welcomed soldiers who were in training in the Austin area to a social event. And they also, this mentions the tire pole, which, by the way, overnight was apparently piled high with tires sitting there in front of the Capitol. And the Lions Club, there's an article about the dam proposal. In 1924, partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to fund the construction of the first substantial bathhouse at Barton Springs. That was used until the floods wiped it out in the 1930s, and it was replaced by the current one. And in 1923, Lions negotiated the lease for the land owned by the University of Texas out on the west side there and formed a nonprofit corporation and issued bonds to build the golf course. And I'm sorry, this apparently thinks it's supposed to run by itself. Anyway, the course was continually improved and eventually turned over to the city of Austin in 1936. They actually initiated the recreation department for the city of Austin. They lobbied for the creation of a recreation department. This was in the mid-20s. They organized the department. They recruited the first director and helped to fund the first hiring of playground supervisors. And excuse me for kicking back and forth, but I'm trying to stabilize this thing. In 1928 was a particularly good year because the club adopted a couple of special kids. A totally blind orphan named Tina Lou Wallace, for one. They gave her a 4-year scholarship to the University of Texas. She majored in English and French and graduated as a Phi Beta Kappa, and she had a distinguished 52-year career with the American Printing House for the Blind in Louisville. And they actually have a memorial brick in their wall of tribute there at the Printing House for the Blind. This one paid off because in 1992, she said, I want to get in touch with the Lions and do something for them because they did so much for me. And she came down from where she was living in Kentucky and contributed $40,000 to our activity fund to fund scholarships for blind students. Then, and again, I hope this will stay put, Fred Lowry was a student at the Texas School for the Blind, and he displayed a remarkable talent for music. And so the club gave him a Victrola record player and a set of classical records. And he earned renown as a professional musician with a long career as a whistler, had several record albums published. If you go on YouTube and search for Fred Lowry Whistler, you'll find some amazing performances on there, just amazing. In 1938, this is something you can go and see now. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, you can see what they look like now. They planted 78 pecan trees along Barton Springs Road next to what's now the Palmer Event Center. And in 1945 and 46, after the war, they erected a substantial scoreboard at House Park and dedicated it to the Austin students who served in World War II. This has been covered over now with a digital scoreboard, but the underlying structure is still there. And just this year, we installed a new plaque rededicating the scoreboard to the students of all the Austin schools who served, because the inscription on the scoreboard said Austin High students and who served in World War II. And actually there was more than one high school back in those segregated days. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break out of here a minute and try to find out why this thing is running automatically. Just a second.
Trying to speed you up.
You can what?
It's trying to
Yes, it
speed
is.
you up.
Yeah, I'm not really up to quite that pace.
Go back to your PowerPoint and on the slideshow, unclick the use timings.
There you go. Thank you. I knew there was there
That ought to-
somewhere. Okay, now I'm going to save it again just to make sure. And then I'm going to hopefully come, well, it should work fine from here. All right. Let's back that up and see if we can start right here. Okay, yeah. All right, thanks for the technical assistance. Anyway, starting in 1966, the club has made a number of other gifts to the city of Austin to support parks and recreation. There were some improvements made to Republic Square Park that involved, I believe, a plaque that's still there, and some additions and improvements of several kinds to the playscape at Zilker Park. This bridge, I believe, was funded by the Lions Club at one point in time, and then this playscape structure, I believe this one was done by the Parks and Recreation people to replace, because it says 75th anniversary, 91, 92. This was done to replace a Lions drinking fountain that we presented to them at that point in time, which they subsequently lost. And it's apparently in somebody's backyard somewhere in the Austin area, giving water to somebody's grandkids. But this is roughly what it looked like. And this is the one that was installed as our centennial project at the playscape. Kids really love to stick their head in the lion's mouth to get a drink. Okay, club administration. Glenda, would you like to kick in here and talk a little bit about that? Is Glenda muted?
Okay. All right. Yes, I would be happy to talk about the club administration. One of the things that I really like about Lions Club is that it's there's a structure provided. So you know what you're supposed to do. If you have any questions, there's all kinds of information to help you online. So you always know what you're supposed to be doing. And when you have questions, just say you can figure it out. As far as our structure goes, we have a constitution and bylaws. We have 10 officers and we have 7 directors. The directors serve a 2-year term, and you can see the officers in the board. Okay. And what's great about this, for example, I'm the president this year, and we have an immediate past president who's a member of the board. We have 3 vice presidents. And for example, the first vice president is will take my position when I leave, so that he will know, he'll be prepared. And as president, I preside over the club and board meetings and appoint committees, and the vice presidents help with the various committees and various projects. Okay, we have a fantastic secretary who maintains membership records and board meetings and reports to the district and international. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have that job. And that's Leonore, and she does a fantastic, fantastic job. We appreciate her so much. And then our treasurer, it's very important. Just a second, I've got to turn off my phone. Sorry about that.
Leo, is it really all that hard? I hate for her to make it sound that way because it'll be hard to get anybody to replace you.
We could never replace her.
I mean, it's not too hard, but it is a lot of work.
It's
Oh my
wonderful.
goodness, Leonard, don't be so, you know, you do so much for this club. You're the pillar. Everything centers around your activity and your, whatever you do, because it's dues, it's web support, it's technical support. You do it all.
I do it with pleasure and I love doing it. And it's, for me, it's a great, but thank you. Thank you for the praise and thank you for enjoying my work.
We may be the only club in the world whose effective headquarters migrates back and forth between Austin and Portugal.
Absolutely.
We
Okay.
do declare internationality.
That's right. Okay, Glenda, sorry about that.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I should have moved my phone out of the way, but anyway, our treasurer does a great job, and I think it's very important that we we keep such tight reins on our money, and we know where it's what's happening and where it's going. And we have two separate accounts. We have a administrative fund, and we have an activity fund. And we keep the money separate so that everybody knows where the money is, and we can only use it for certain expenses and certain activities. And our treasurer reports to us on a regular basis so that we know where we stand, and we know when we need to raise money and we don't overspend. So that's a very, very important job. And we appreciate Jim Roberson for all the work that he does on that. Our lion tamer, who is Patty Robinson at this time, she's responsible for the club property, flags, banners, name tags, etc., guest members and guests at meetings. Now that's quite a bit involved. You know, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, somebody has to bring in the flags and the microphones and all of that. But she does a wonderful job. Keeps our name tags updated and just helps things move smoothly. And our tail twister, well, we haven't had a tail twister for a while who's actually stands up and tells jokes, because it hasn't worked very well for during Zoom. But our tail twister is Gaylord, and he's going to help. He's been helping and will continue to help with some of our activities as far as meeting and getting together outside of Lionisms in a healthy environment. And we continue to work with him, and he's working on getting our Christmas party set up. So if you have suggestions as to where we can have some outdoor activities and that type of thing, it'd be good to talk with him. And then our membership chair is in charge of recruiting and retention. And obviously that's a very important job, and feel like we're doing well there. In fact, it's amazing that we have actually increased in the last year. We actually increased our membership, even though we were Zooming and not being able to meet in person. I think that's incredibly important and wonderful, and we all need to pat ourselves on the back. And then our marketing chair public relations and promotions. Wow. That's a job that we need to keep our name out there. We need to do things for the community and let people know. You know, you don't want to hide things under a bushel. You want people to know what we're doing. So public relations and promotion, the marketing chair, that's a very important job. And we're lucky to have people who can do that job very, very well. And as I said, we have 5 directors, and they have staggered 2-year terms, and they offer help to the officers when we need it, and just do additional work and help us from what we need help with. Our immediate past president, institutional memory, I think that's cute. In other words, when I need help, I call up Rudy and say, Rudy, what am I supposed to be doing? So, because he has institutional memory, and as past president, he's very, very valuable. And he is also the club representative for Lions Club International Foundation. All right, we have an annual election, and the club president appoints a nominating committee in January. And this, once again, this is very structured, and I like that. So we always know how we're going to be doing this. We ask for nominations from the members in February, and then the slate is presented in March, and the club votes in April. Now, this year it was electronic vote, but usually it's in person. And the term and business year begin July 1st. So once very nice and structured. As far as our dues and administrative budget, our dues are $50 per quarter, and that includes the district and multiple district dues of $14 a year, and the Texas Lion Camp dues of $21 a year, international dues $43 a year, less 50% for family members. And our administrative budget is dues, meal revenues, etc. And it funds meetings and communications, etc. And our activity budget, remember I told you these are kept very separate. And our activity budget is contributions from the public and members, and the proceeds of fundraising activities. And we're recognized by the IRS as a 501c3. And this money must be used exclusively for charitable or educational purposes.
Linda, I just wanted to interject here a little bit more about that, because the social aspects of Lionism and some of the things that are in the International Constitution about fostering international goodwill and various activities like that fall outside the 501c3 restriction that an organization has to be organized and operated exclusively for charitable, educational, or religious purposes. And that's why we maintain a separate fund. A lot of the more recent clubs have established, actually spun off a separate incorporated charitable organization, a separate nonprofit for that purpose. Ours was just set aside and fenced off as a separate fund 50 or 60 years ago. I can't remember exactly how long, but the IRS recognized our exemption for that. Lions clubs generally, as a group, benefit from an exemption from income tax on our revenues under the umbrella of Lions Clubs International. And it's a blanket exemption that's granted to all clubs. That's the reason why we have to operate under the general principles of the International Constitution and yield to them if we have something that's in conflict. Thank you.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. That was always kind of a source of, I didn't quite understand. I knew that we kept the money separate, but I didn't know why and how important it is that it is kept separately. So thank you for that information.
That's the reason why. One other thing I might mention in case the issue ever arises is there's also a situation where you can have taxable income if it's unrelated to your business purposes of the organization. And examples of that are if you're using hired labor to conduct an activity, or if you're reselling purchased goods. And some of the Lions Clubs have run afoul of that. It's the unrelated business income tax. Because, for example, if you're running a tube rental operation down on the San Marcos River, and you've been doing it with all volunteers, and then at some point somebody says, well, you know, we could make a lot more money if we hired students to run this during the week, and suddenly the preponderance of your labor is hired labor, you can run into a taxable income situation with that. So if you ever hear the term unrelated business taxable income, you'll know what that's all about. But generally, we're doing things like operating things with volunteer labor, thrift stores, selling donated goods, for example, like in Elgin. Those fall into the exclusion from the unrelated business taxable income.
Very interesting. Did a good job there. If I recall, you are a CPA, correct?
I'm a CPA within some very narrow, yeah, in some specific areas of taxation. Yeah, but I'm trying to get completely retired from that.
Well, I know, but see that's what's so wonderful about our club is we have such knowledgeable, educated people who can help us explain these things. And I appreciate that. Okay, we are 100% club with, because we do, when we make our contributions, we make everything that we're supposed to. For example, we give $10 per member a year to the Texas Lions Camp, $1 to the Texas Lions Eyeglass Recycling, $1 to Lions Club International, $2 to Texas Lions Foundation, $1 to Leader Dog, $2 to World Service for the Blind, $2 to District 2S3 Charities, $2 to District 2S3 Youth Opportunities. So that's $21 per person going to our activities, and we are 100%. We qualify because we do that every year without fail.
And that doesn't mean we're going to assess each person that much in addition to dues or anything. That comes out of money, other money that we've raised.
Okay. In normal times, we meet Thursdays from 11:45 to 1 o'clock, except certain holidays at the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and occasionally in other places. But we've been doing Zooming. We've been Zooming because of COVID-19 from 12:30 to 1:30. Thanks to the great people that we have in our technology, that has been working very, very well. And what can I say other than we are so lucky to have the people that know how to do this and make it happen.
I would just say that as part of that building of social capital, it's really important to get together one way or another and to get to know each other and work with each other in a variety of different environments. And of course, we enjoy having programs that are educational or entertaining, or preferably both, but it's all good. All right. Well, thank you, Glenda.
Let me just interject. For those new members, I have sent you a spreadsheet of all of the names of the officers and their current positions, and also any of the committee chairs, so that you have that in your hand when you want to know who does what in our club. One of the things that keeps our club going and has made our Zoom so successful is the quality of the programs that we've had. And that is every week. We have a large committee that gives opportunities or presents to the coordinator. And if you have any ideas about programs that you would like to hear or that you have access to, please contact Mac Ragsdale.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So what do we actually do? How do we actually serve? Well, we serve through a blend of fundraising and service. And Ann is going to talk about our principal fundraising activities, I believe, but I wanted to show this picture. It goes back to one that we did many years ago during the Pecan Street Festival on 6th Street. This is our late Congressman J.J. Jake Pickle on the left and the late Willie Kasurik on the right, both of whom were members of the club for about 65 years. And in that particular situation, we would set up down there and cook fajitas and make gumbo. We happened to be blessed with a member who was outstanding gumbo cook. And these two guys would put on those Lions vests and get out and troll the crowd and try to send business our way. And they already knew half the people out there anyway. Worked pretty well. Thank you. Okay, Ann.
Okay, well, this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. Fundraising. Oops. Unmute myself. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay. I think the reason I've kind of gotten into enjoying fundraising is because all my career, I never got to work with money. And there's just something very satisfying about being involved in an activity and raising money and having this money to finance our activities. So I really have gotten into it. And it's kind of a nice fit for my background because my background is public relations and marketing and media relations. So it just kind of all works together for me. This year, I'm serving as chair of the Sporting Clay Shootout. This is the club's largest fundraiser. We have been doing it. This will be our 10th year. And we partner with the NFL Alumni Austin chapter. And you can always tell those folks because they're the guys with the big necks and they're real big guys. And many of them have on Super Bowl rings. But they're super nice and they come out and we have this event at the Capital City Clays, which is out off of Decker Lindale Lane. And it is, it's a clay shoot and we have 2 fields. We have 10 stations on each field and each team has 4 shooters and each shooter shoots at each of those stations. And if you'll go back for just a minute, Alan, a couple of years ago, we changed our primary beneficiary. This was right after LCI added diabetes as an area of focus. And so one of the ways that we support our diabetes service is by partnering with JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And they do some things locally that are very Lions oriented. For one thing, each week they do with Dell Children's Medical Center, a family and child that has been newly diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. JDRF provides them with an information packet and one-on-one counseling about community resources that are available to that family, and then provides support groups for local families and type 1 diabetic children. In addition, JDRF helps recruit children with type 1 diabetes to attend Texas Lions Camp. So it's a really good partnership that we have with them. Before we were working with JDRF, the primary beneficiary was the Center for Child Protection. And certainly that's a very worthwhile organization. But in the scope of world events, our contribution was not significant to them. And for JDRF, it is a significant contribution. And JDRF has been an outstanding partner. They've brought teams, they've brought vendors that provide door prizes, and they provide lots of volunteers. So it's a really great partnership. There you can see people enjoying the Sporting Clay. And it's scheduled this year for September the 17th. Let's hope COVID doesn't interfere with this. It will be from 9 to about 2 on the 17th. I'm looking for volunteers for that day. We need people to work at the stations where you pull the clays, and it's really easy. You just push a button. And then I also need volunteers to help at the food service. We serve breakfast and lunch. And so I need volunteers for that as well. And we will be setting up the canopies on the 16th, late afternoon, and putting up the signs for the event. We have got right now 12 or 13 teams. I'm hoping we get to 20 or perhaps even 25. But as I said, this is our largest fundraiser, and we will net for ourselves close to $11,000. And here is the picture from 2019 when we presented JDRF with $10,873. And you see Gaylord and Tommy Cowan there with Mike Brin on the right. Mike is the executive director of JDRF. Okay,
And can I make one quick comment here?
sure.
Your description of the NFL players, the former NFL players, is pretty much spot on. With one exception, a couple of years ago, I had a real nice conversation with a fellow who was about 5'10", not much taller than I am, probably weighed 170 pounds, and that's probably about the size he was when he played. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. Raul Alegre was one of the great place kickers in the NFL. He does Spanish language broadcasts now for sporting events, but some of those guys are at least twice his size, and some of the others have 2 Super Bowl rings too. Thank you.
So I want to know how to volunteer.
Just let me know and I'll put you down.
Okay,
You can see, I will mark it down right now.
yeah, well, Kit is going to be taking pictures, so we're.
Yes, he is. And we appreciate that. I want to say one more thing about the sporting clay before we get into the next one. The registration form is on our website. If you go to our homepage, there are 2 events coming up, and I'm going to talk about casino night here in just a minute. But if you click on the link from the sporting clay, it takes you to a splash page, and it tells you about the event, and then you click again and you can actually register. And we have teams and we have station sponsors. And that for $200, many of our club members will sponsor a station. So if you want to get involved financially, you can. You also can purchase raffle tickets, and I'm holding it up. I hope you can see it. We raffle a shotgun. It's a 12 gauge over under shotgun. And this year, McBride's Guns is actually donating the shotgun, which is fabulous. Tickets are $25 each, or you get 5 for $100. We only sell 300 tickets, so you have a pretty good chance of winning. So come on out and support the sporting clay. Then another one of our fundraisers is our annual Rose Day. And I think this is one of the most fun activities that we do. You see here, this picture shows us preparing the roses for delivery. We all get together at a wholesale florist, and pack the roses. And it's a dozen long stem red roses in a florist box. It's got the little grassy stuff, and then we put a little card in there about how to care for the roses. And then the next day we deliver the roses. Now this year, the last time we did this was October the 29th of 2020. We will not be doing it in October of this year. We're still working on the date, but it is so much fun because it's such a happy thing. You walk up to somebody's door or you go to a business and you're carrying this box of red roses, and they are so happy to get it. So it's a great fundraiser. There's another picture. It's fun to get together and get everything ready. And then there behind Mim in the picture, you see all the boxes of roses. And we need people to help pack the roses, and then we need people to help deliver the roses. And I tell you, one of the amazing things that Leonore does is she puts together your route. And I don't know how in the world she does it, but it gives you these instructions, and I mean, the driving instructions from Google, and you just go from one spot to the next, and it's amazing. So we'll have more news about that. Now, this is about our casino night. And we did the first casino night ever back in February of 2020. And we were very, very lucky. We did it right before the pandemic hit. The theme for that was a Roaring Twenties theme, and so you can see the period costumes. Tommy Cowens brought out his roadster, and we were able to take pictures with it. We had a photo booth. We have heavy hors d'oeuvres. We have casino night games. And the way it works is for your ticket price, which right now the tickets are $50 for a single ticket. You get the hors d'oeuvres, you get one free drink, and you get $2,500 in chips. And you take that $2,500 and you play the different games. At the end of the night, you cash in your chips and you get tickets. And we will have probably 10 or 12 prize packages. You put your tickets in the bucket of the prize you'd like to win. Then we draw the numbers, and the person whose ticket we draw wins that prize. Also, we will be having a silent auction. And I know that one of the silent auction items this time, and I certainly intend to bid on it, Glenda is donating a 2-night stay in Port Aransas at her condo and a dinner gift certificate. And I'm excited about that prize, so I'm going to be bidding on that one. This year, our theme is Casino Night in the Wild West. And we're going to have a lariat twirling lady that you can get your picture made with, and dress up in your favorite Western costume. It can be your jeans and boots, or if you want to go the Miss Kitty route, that's fine. But we will award a prize for the best costumes. And Patty Robinson is chairing the casino night. Again, it's on our website. You can purchase single tickets online. We also sell a reserve table for 8 for $500. And then we have sponsorships ranging from, I believe it's $250 to, we have our title sponsor. I should mention that the Texas Ophthalmological Association Foundation is our title sponsor. So I think we still have maybe a $3,000 sponsorship left. And then there are several $500 and $750. So all of that's on our website. So go there and check it out. Okay, another way that we raise money, we have, we are one of the charities that benefits from one of the local bingo units. Leonore is our bingo liaison. And it's really a kind of passive thing. We don't do much, but occasionally we get a check, and that's always exciting. And we recently just got a $5,000 check, so that was really exciting. And we're always looking for new ways to raise money, because raising money enables us to do our service activities. So if you have any ideas, please share them. We have in the past, we have done a golf tournament. We've had it at Lyons Municipal, which is a great golf course. It's a beautiful place, but we were unable to get a chair, so that's kind of fallen by the wayside. We've done an event at Top Golf, and we've had some bowling tournaments, but we're always open to new fundraising ideas. I think now Mim is going to talk
Yeah.
about how we
I'm going to
use
talk
the
about,
money.
yeah.
Oh, I got it wrong here.
Okay, I'm here to talk to you about our service activities, and this is where you can really, really get involved. And we welcome any of your ideas as well. You know, our service activities generally fall into the following categories, and you've all heard about those from a local and international focus. But where we really serve the community, and our signature service project is our vision screening. And our vision screening is identified and focused on children. And it's called Lions Kids Sight USA. And in doing that, we have purchased these very expensive cameras. We have 2 of them. And we go out to, in our situation, 37 ISD schools. And our focus group for that is to screen K3, the 3-year-old students. We usually screen about 1,100 students in the AISD school district. Obviously, we're sort of shut down with stage 5, but we also do private schools at their request. The other way we serve and this piece of equipment scans a child within just a few seconds, and it detects conditions like 9 different eye conditions. Pretty much we're focused on the young kids with looking for lazy eye, because lazy eye, if corrected early on, can be totally successful. And if we catch them before age 10, they really don't have much impairment following that. We are limited. This is a very, very easy thing to use. It does require a little training. And those of you who might be interested would contact Tommy Cowan, who is the champion of this project in our club. And he will help with getting you trained. It doesn't take much. And then when it's time for us to go back out to the school, then you'll be ready. When possible, we also provide, this is just a screening, and when possible, if we find a child who is what we call a bingo, which means they need more of an ophthalmologic exam, we then help provide for and advise them through their school nurse to go and see a physician that will properly evaluate them. And then if it becomes necessary that they need glasses, then we help them get their glasses. Another place that we do vision screening is at community fairs and out in the community fairs. And I think most of you just received an urgent call for today, and it unfortunately bumped into our orientation. So I don't think many of you were able to respond to that. But there's 2 health fairs at Reagan and Lamar high schools that we usually participate. And then the other major event we participate in is Coats for Kids. And that occurs in December. And it's at the Palmer Event Center, and it's usually very cold, and we have to be outside to do that. And we are in the process. I don't know that we'll be able to do it this year, but we will see if we can. We'll have to set up a booth because ambient light and light from the environment is a major issue that restricts our screening. So we have to have a darkened area so the pupil size of the child or the adult's eye will get larger so that the camera can work its magic. So anyway, if you're interested in community, then you'll be contacting Sam Ruiz. If you're interested in the school district screenings, then you'll contact Tommy Cowan. You've heard an awful lot about the Texas Lion Camp, and each year we go and help get the camp ready for the campers. And we usually go in March, and we do either yard work or one thing or another. The one major thing that we can do to help support the camp is we recruit and sponsor campers. And you can go to the Texas Lions Camp website and find the application. The application begins in January, and the applicants and the families must get a doctor's sign off on the camper going to camp. There are district contributions that support the camp, and that's where you've just heard about our 100% contribution. There's also Century, where one can contribute $100 per year and become a member. And then there's endowment contributions. And then we can, as a club, identify a champion lion in our club and give to the camp with a John Weech Fellowship. Service other opportunities that we go and do at the camp are many times, well, this year we haven't been able to do it, nor did we last year, but we go and we welcome campers and offer refreshments. These are some of the projects we've done in the past at the camp with painting and yard work and scrubbing the floors and painting walls. So there's no lack of activities to do when we go on work days. And it's a joy to know that we've done something to actually contribute directly to the function of the camp. The other thing is to welcome with refreshments the summer opportunity when we greet campers. Side. Every year, there's an annual celebration of mobility for the visually impaired. It used to be at the Capitol. It's now at the Texas School for the Blind, and it's called the White Cane Day, where the students and parents and teachers at Texas School for the Blind parade around the campus, and there's news media reporting, and it's to identify and highlight how independent visually impaired and blind people can function in our world today. Next slide.
Okay, I didn't want to go. Okay.
Okay. The other way we contribute service-wise, and some of our funds go to Texas School for the Blind student to give scholarships for them to go to school for advanced training, whether it be in a vocational environment or whether it be at a college level. And each year, last year and several years before, we've been able to sponsor 3 campers at $1,000 per camper. And we we pay directly to the entity where they're going for advanced education. The other place we provide scholarships is the Texas Lions Camp counselors. And many of these counselors come from all over the world. I remember hearing about a counselor who worked as a bartender every year in Australia in order to come to camp. And we help, and he's sponsored by his Lions Club in Australia, as well as sponsored by some of the money we give to some of the counselors there. Next slide. Okay. You've heard about the eyeglass recycling. We take boxes throughout our community, north, south, east, and west of Austin, and we place these service collection boxes. Then each of us are assigned or take responsibility for picking up those glasses and taking them to our eyeglass coordinator at the Texas School for the Blind. The chairman for this is Judy Saul, and you can contact her by volunteering for a site or choosing a new site. When those glasses are all compiled and collected at the Texas School for the Blind, the LEOs at the Texas School for the Blind package and sort through the glasses, making sure that there's only eyeglasses in the packaging. And then we send them to the Midland Recycling Center, which sorts and catalogs them. The glasses are distributed by aid and mission teams in the undeveloped countries. We cannot use them here in the United States. Then one of the other service projects we engage in is the Peace Poster. And we go to schools, particularly the Garcia Young Men's Leadership Academy, and have them participate in a poster drawing contest. It goes through the art department at that school. And then they select, there's a committee that selects the winner of that group. And then we award a cash award to that. And this next year, we're adding the Bertha Sadler Means Young Women's Leadership Academy to the Peace Poster Contest. And the person in charge of that is John, I just lost his name.
It is Gloria Munguia.
Oh, it's Gloria this year? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Gloria is doing it. And
Oh,
one
that's
thing-
right. I remember now. Yeah.
And one thing about it, our winners go then to the district level. And so all the clubs in the district that have a peace poster contest, those winners compete, and then the winner of the district goes to the state, and it goes on up, and it is an international contest.
And there's cash awards for each of these levels.
Yes.
The other service project that we have done, and it's almost always on Fridays, is you've heard a bit about this, is support for the Meals on Wheels of Central Texas. And here are pictures. We go to the Meals on Wheels central location, and then it's a very organized setup where the cars drive in a line. They have placards that tell us how many meals they're going to be delivering. And there's about 4 to 5 stations, and they drive up, we load, we have about 4 persons per team, and we load their packages, either the dry goods or the icebox goods, which are milk and such. And then there's has been a frozen package. So 3 packages go in the back of their cars. The drivers come bared with ice checks and coolers so that we can preserve the food. Typically a 2 or 3 hour continuous work loading 70 delivery vehicles, 500 food deliveries, with a total of about 1,500 items that we are loaded. And we then enjoy a nice sit down box lunch, and we feel very, very rewarded for that day's work. And this is a picture of one of our groups that has gone out there. The annual Sportsmanship Award, we've been stymied by the pandemic and did not offer it last year, but there's usually a trophy awarded to 1 men's and 1 women's AISD high school team, and it's rated by officials on behalf of players, coaches, and the student body. We hopefully, the year 21-22 will hopefully be back in business with that, provided that we raise enough funds to be able to afford this.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention this goes way back to at least almost 80 years ago, when the club awarded a Best Man trophy at the end of each year to the outstanding football player from Austin High School.
I only know that.
The program has morphed into something much better since then.
Exactly. And it really benefits the AISD school district tremendously. And here are some of the recipients of our awards for past years. We also, one of our service projects, we support the namesake schools. Now, the namesake schools are all identified on behalf of very remarkable lands in our club in the past. These 6 schools are Boone Elementary, Cowan Elementary, Gus Garcia Young Men's Leadership Academy, Passaic Elementary, Pickle Elementary, and Whedon Elementary. The club traditionally recognizes each school with a lunch for the faculty and a small grant for a special education program. And we've been able to do this past year. Anyway, Tommy and Rudy were very much involved in doing this. Other activities we have done in the past as needed, but we're limited again. Meal service at Ronald McDonald House and various special donation campaigns like food, diapers, toys. We've done Blue Santa, Brown Santa, and emergency assistance. This past year, what we did is we're pandemic gift card distributions. We recognize that many people lost their jobs and were really struggling just to provide their own food. And we gifted many people close to members of our club with $100 gift cards to HEB. And you'll see some of these recipients. And we support working through our local Leo Club. And we have a new member with Cody that very much is involved with Leo, as is Leo Clubs, as with Patty Robinson. And the Leo Club is a youth organization of LCI that is specifically for students up to the age of early 20s. And we have an active Leo Club at the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. You can see the statistics of how widespread the Leo Club is, and the Leo emblem stands for leadership, experience, and opportunity. Hopefully these Leos will morph into Lions members when they get a bit older into adulthood. The typical target audience is 12 to 18. And an Omega Leo group would be 18 to 30, and that would probably be recognized in the college level organization. And we do have a UT organization that is now a Lions Club at the University of Texas.
Ma'am,
Uh-huh.
may I beg for another brief break here for 5
Sure.
minutes?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'll be right back. The rest of y'all, I'll look for you in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, 5 minutes break, everybody.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.